And as we remain open and we remain receptive, the inner part does exactly what it's going to do for us. Whenever you don't know what to do, whenever you have a problem in the outer, the solution is always within. And we always need to seek that inner counsel first. Try to quiet ourselves down the best we can, shut out the outer world, which is sometimes difficult to do, and allow that inner wisdom through. Allow that inner grace out. But we have to let go of our expectations, of how we think it's supposed to work out, or what we think it is that we need for our highest good, or the way in which we think it's going to happen, or the time frame in which we think it needs to happen. God knows the perfect way in which it's going to work out for us. The perfect time frame, it's in divine order. It may not happen. It's probably not going to happen the way you think it's going to happen. Because there's an infinity of possibilities in the way in which it could work out. And you can't conceive that with the conscious mind. Remember, the conscious mind is only 10% of awareness. The other 90 to 95% of awareness is below conscious perception. Conscious mind really does not have a clue of what's going on in this universe. It's neither the creator or the sustainer or the architect of this universe. And it tries to be in control of everything in our life. And it gets us into a lot of trouble. Now, the subconscious mind is that part of our being that's recorded everything that's ever gone on in all our lifetimes, and it's aware of everything. But it's also recorded a lot of garbage that we picked up, a lot of false messages and false beliefs about who we are that aren't serving us well in our life. In fact, it's a lot of that garbage that clutters our consciousness and prevents us from being aware of the light of God and our connection and oneness with God. So, as we open up, we transcend the conscious mind, we transcend the subconscious mind to that part of our being, which is pure essence, which is pure spirit. Now, spirit always manifests as a body. It's not separate. Mind and body and consciousness are all one. And they're not separate things. It's all part of God. This is the temple of the, it's called the temple of the living God, but it's made of God's substance. And the mind is also made of God. So there's not a single part of us that's not one with God. We're just not perceiving it clearly the way we really are. If you could see the body of God's creation with spiritual vision, you would see that it's a body of infinite light and beauty that does not age. It's not born. It never gets sick. It doesn't die. But that's your true self. So this concept that you're holding about who you think you are has to be broken down. It has to be discarded. And that's called dying to the outer self. It's a dying to the false perception that you have of the outer self. And when physical death occurs, of course there is no death, it's a dying to the false concepts of who we thought that body was. Because immediately we're still there in all our glory in a body. It's just not the same body. It's at a higher vibrational level that we couldn't see before. That's why most people can't see people when they pass on, because they're at a different vibratory rate. But as Joel said many times when he talked to people, there's never been a person who's died on the planet. There's never been a sick person. That doesn't exist. That's all illusion. You're not seeing what's really going on. Nobody's ever really sick, though it feels so real, and the suffering's so hard, and the pain is so great. And it seems so real to the other physical senses. That's not what's happening to your true self. You're just not awake. You're in the slumber of the outer senses, what's called the Adam dream, a belief in a material and mental world separate from God. But remember that there is no world separate from God. There is no power other than God. There is no reality other than God. Everything else is a belief that's been put into our mind at some point, either by somebody that you knew when you were younger, you picked it up in a past lifetime, or it comes from a universal belief from the race consciousness of all the people that have lived on the planet. And that race consciousness permeates the subconscious mind in the time of this time with all kinds of messages, energies, vibrations. And we accept a lot of those as truth. And we seek experts in the outer world to confirm those truths. And when there's a joint consensus, it's got to be so. Because the experts of the world all said it's so, therefore it's so. Well, the only truth is the truth that God created. And the only expert you really need to listen to is God. That doesn't mean that in the outer world we won't have teachers, that we won't have guides. The thing is, we have to turn within and allow Spirit to orchestrate the whole process, to bring to us exactly what we need. And as we make that inner contact, that's exactly what happens in perfect divine order. It might seem to come from the outer world through a book, person, teacher, an experience that you have, but it's because you're making an opening in consciousness that all this is taking place. Nothing ever happens first in the outer without a change in the inner. Always starts with an inner change in our consciousness before something will change in the outer. So it'll seem like the physical body is getting healthier, or it'll seem that your pocketbook is getting fuller, or it'll seem that you experience more harmony or beauty in your life. But what's really going on is you're waking up. You're starting to experience God's kingdom as it really is. Now, the human, at times, will get very disappointed because sometimes it won't seem so great. Sometimes we feel lost, and we feel disconnected, and we feel separate, and we feel alone. And we can't feel those things. And that's why I said that if we were left to our own recourses, it would never happen. We would stay lost forever. But fortunately, it's God's desire and good pleasure to give us the kingdom. God never withholds anything from anybody. He never has and he never will. That's why we don't have to ask for anything. It's always there, right inside of us. And through the grace of God, that awakening is taking place, in each of us at a very accelerated rate, which I'm sure many of you have seen, that in recent years it feels like I'm going through so much, so many changes in my life, so many changes on the planet. Everything is happening at such an accelerated pace. The light on the earth is intensifying. The vibration and the energy in the earth is intensifying. What's really happening is it's becoming more and more, we're experiencing more and more that frequency, vibration, energy of God, and that density, that sense of density and heaviness of the material world is lifting. That's what's happening. And it's becoming quicker. Everybody's becoming quickened. Our vibration is becoming finer, more delicate. And a lot of people are trying to resist that because it's uncomfortable to them. They don't want to let go of some of those things from the past, some of those material things that they hold on to. But unfortunately, we can't take those things into the kingdom of God, so we can't hold on to those things. And the more we hold on to those things, the more pleasant it gets. The more we hold on to those false concepts of power, those false concepts of control, those concepts of materiality, the more painful it's going to be. And that's what's happening, with a lot of people and a lot of institutions that are in the process of dying. So, we can rejoice, and we don't have to be afraid for any of the changes that are going on. It's a wonderful time in which we live, and always that part of us, which is God, is always watching over us. It's always protecting us. There's not a place where you go that's not sacred ground. It's the way, it's said, the place upon which you walk is holy ground, literally, because the Spirit of God is one with you. And wherever you're up in the air, under the sea, or like the Master said, if you were to go down to hell, which is not a real place, God is already there. God is everywhere. There is no place where God is not. So, what is there to fear? The fear comes from a false sense that we have a life to lose, a physical body that can be harmed. And as we rise in consciousness, we realize that that's not so. So, what I'm going to do next is we're going to meditate together. And all spiritual teachers, and mystics, sages of all times have taught meditation in one form or another. And there's many styles and types of meditation. But what meditation really is in its essence is communion with God within us. Jesus many times went away from the crowds to commune with God, to meditate. And what he said is we need to close down the outer, go into the closet of our being. No, we're going within our consciousness, not within the body. The body's within consciousness. So we're going to shut out to the best of our ability the outer world. It's best to go into a quiet place when you can, where nobody will bother you. And it's nice if you have a place that you can make your meditation place to do that. But truly, when you practice a little bit, it doesn't matter where you are. My Qigong master said in China, when they're really advancing in meditation, that the masters would send them out to the busiest street in China to meditate with all the people around them, so they could really learn to be quiet and still with everything else that's going on around them. We don't need to go off to a monastery or a temple or a special place to meditate. The temple's here. You're carrying it with you all the time. The church, the monastery is right here. It's your body. That's the temple of the living God. And we go inside that temple into our consciousness, and there we commune with the Spirit of God within. And we're already one with that Spirit. We're not separate from it. We're going within to awaken. That's the only purpose of a meditation, is to commune with God, to have an illumination, or to have an awakening. There is no other purpose. If you're going to God for some other reason, you're going for the wrong reason, and you're not going to get it. You go to God for only one thing each and every time, and that's for spiritual illumination. In that illumination is the fullness of God, is the fullness of God's kingdom. So the Masters say, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all things, and everything will be given unto you. He didn't say seek you first money, seek you first peace. No, seek God within, and everything will be given to you. And you're already God in your essence. You're already one with that. And you don't need to know how to do it. That's the great thing. People say, well, I don't know how to meditate. You don't need to know how. It's the Spirit of God within you that is doing the meditation. It knows what you need without your asking or telling to awaken. So just allow it. Just trust it. Just get out of the way. Just let the ego for a minute be quiet and let go of its control. Your intention in your heart, your desire in your heart to make that connection, to make that communion, is what activates the process. When you go to flip the light switch in your room, you don't pray for the light to come through. You don't understand the laws of electricity. You don't know how the room is wired. All you do is flip the light switch. And you know without certainty that light will come into the room and you'll be able to see. When you open your window, you know that the sun is there, shining. You don't ask the sun, please come and shine in my room. It's already shining. So we have to open the curtain of our consciousness, have to flip the switch open. God does the rest. It's God's responsibility, not yours and the other self, to illumine us, to awaken us, and to do whatever it is we need to do. There's an expression in the Old Testament that says, He does that which is given us to do. He perfecteth that which concerneth us. That means it's the Spirit of God in you. It's its job to perfect you, to awaken you, to illumine you. So don't worry if the outer self doesn't know what to do. That's great. That's a better place to be than to think you know what needs to happen. You don't need to say any special words. You don't need to say any special prayers. You don't need to read any special books. You don't need to wear any special clothing. You don't need to get in any special posture. None of that kind of stuff. You can do any of that if it helps you. You can light incense if you want. You can listen to music if you want. You can say a special prayer if you want. If it helps you, open your consciousness to the presence of God. But if you're just doing it mechanically, like saying Ave Maria, Ave Maria, Ave Maria, Ave Maria, all day long, and that doesn't open your consciousness to God, it doesn't do you any good. If you go to church once a week and you go on and it doesn't change anything in your life and it doesn't open you deeper to an awareness of the presence of God, it's done you no good. Just to have an outer appearance in the outer world of looking more holy, that means nothing. It means nothing. It's all about the inner experience.